South Asians are people, not all brown-faced are South Asians. There are certain threads that tied them culturally, linguistically, food, together. There are people with origins from India, which is the majority, and Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, and the Maldives, which are beautiful islands right off of the southern tip of India. According to the most recent US Census in 2010, 5% of the US population is Asian Americans. And 3.18 million Asian Indians comprise the third largest Asian population. New Jersey's Asian population has grown. Can anybody guess how much in the past 4 decades? If you have read my notes, though.
40%.
40%. Anybody else want to take a guess? Wild guess? 500%, 400%, 1400%. 1400% between 1970 and 2010. You have seen the explosion of the Indian South Asian community around certain pockets of New Jersey, Middlesex County. We have created a little India here in Islington, and Jersey City is another pocket. And now further south, there are growing pockets in Monroe County, Plainfield, Plainsboro area. South Asians accounted for 57% of New Jersey's gain in Asian population from 2000 to 2010. Such growth in numbers is one reason why addressing these problems of mental illness and addiction in this community is very relevant. The problem is increasing in our community, and we need to face it. And this is our one first small step. You ask anyone, Oak Tree Road, there's a big, huge apartment complex, thousands of apartments. I had a conversation with local businessmen there. If you walk there, in the evening, you will see people congregating and drinking. Some of them passing out. And smoking, he pointed out. These are visible scenes in our community. So when I went to talk to this businessman, who was a restaurant right outside his apartment complex, I said, how can we work together to try to reach this community and help them? He said, don't try. They are going to drink and die. You cannot do anything about it. So there's a sense of hopelessness and a strong judgment. Don't do anything. They are born cases. They shun these people. But as you can see, and as you will see today, an alcoholic is just, they don't have any special face. It could be any one of us. You cannot read the face and say, oh, he's alcoholic, just like mental illness. You cannot tell by looking at somebody that he's mentally ill or she's mentally ill. A recent study reported in an Oxford journal suggested that South Asian men, they compared South Asians and European men, and the European men had a longer history of drinking, and they compared how they metabolize alcohol. And what they found was the South Asians who had been drinking for a shorter period of time had a greater liver damage. So there are organic ways in which how alcohol affects our bodies, which is different from non-South Asians. People fail to recognize the dangers they are putting their families, their children, when they get behind the wheel after just a few drinks. We read about horror stories in the newspaper. Families, entire families, and sometimes communities suffer when one person has a problem with drinking. And you will hear more details about that throughout this evening. So when people asked me, when this SAMHIN organization was launched a couple of years ago, several people universities came, we got to do something about a drinking problem in our community. So that was the first order of our business, to try to do something. And so last year, we started South Asian AA meetings, which is being run by a dedicated AA group. And I actually go there and I am actually learning. I don't run the meeting. The meeting is run by people that have had experiences with this, drinking and recovered. And they have a lot to teach others who are battling these struggles. So now this is our first major venture in alcohol, doing this workshop and educating the community. It's an ordeal trying to get people to even come for events like that, because just coming for the event is like admitting I don't have a problem. I don't need to come. But you need to learn to recognize, because somebody around you might have one day. I requested one person from a church community, can you please put it in the church? They said, no, what will people think? Why am I putting a flyer there? I mean, that's the kind of stigma that I'm talking about.